Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday night to you. If you didn't catch my video earlier, check that one out. Dropping some nuggets. It's interesting. I was I was over at my sister's house, and my brother in law, we were talking about just the Bible, the history of man, and, it was an interesting discussion. And it's we were talking about the Antichrist and some of the things that we read in the Bible and kind of some of the things that are transpiring on earth today, and just kind of tying in some of the conversations, looking at the patterns. And from my sister and my brother-in-law seem to think that we're not going to see God's judgment in our generation, right? And a lot of people have that mindset that Judgment Day is not going to be in my generation. And so I don't have to really think about, preparing or living in expectation of Judgment Day because I'm not going to see it in my generation. And that is such a mistake, to think that way. It is such a mistake to think that way just because, again, God said that he's going to come as a thief, right? And, again, we're not going to know when a thief comes to our house at night, right? He's not going to announce this to us, right? He's just going to come. And that's how God's great day is. And so when you think about sort of some of the things that God helped us in terms of to at least understand which stream of time we were in the Bible prophecies, he gave us a lot of aids and prophecies through his prophets to help us to see that, right? And we've seen a lot of those prophecies come into fruition, right? Now, there's been a lot of manipulation to prophecy, right? To obviously sway people from the reality of the stream of time that they're in, right? And so you see, this American empire, right? And this fragmented Roman Empire. And these are pretty much the powers of the world today. And this is what was prophesied by Daniel and also co-signed by John in Revelation, that we were going to see this intermingling, this mixing of power. So wasn't going to have one dominant nation ruling multiple nations to the degree that you saw like in the Roman Empire or the Greek Empire or the Persian or more granular, the Babylonian Empire. You would see a fragmentation of power. And we've seen that, right? Even though the United States is a very powerful nation in this world today, right, at least since World War One, United States is not dominating, the world, to the global extent of rulership, right? We have a lot of power and influence, but we're not ruling the world. There are countries, even within that West contingency that rule and sovereign themselves, so there's been a lot of conversation about globalization. When we look at the world, like for the past decades, we've been globalized. We've had a lot of world economies intertwined into other economies, and we've actually been able to build and uplift other economies, and we can see that with China. But now we're at this point where we've uplifted all these economies, some of these, but it's one thing when you're building, and we want to see you successful, right? And it's another thing when you're leveraging other people. And eventually people are going to realize that you're ungrateful and you've been leveraging them, and they're going to start building their own power, right? And that's what we saw with China, really. They went from almost like this third world country with a bunch of people, capable people, to a booming economy that is at current competing with the United States. But we see when we get to this point where when you have nations who are near par or at par with the dominant world currency nation, right? That becomes a very volatile thing for the world, because then you have this quest to maintain power or sovereignty over or dominance over the world finances. And we see that with the rhetoric that we have coming from multiple Eastern nations, right, where they're de-dollarizing. Some of these countries are outright on campaigns to de-dollarize. And then you have the United States, on the side where they're funding all these wars. They're dealing with their own economic power or problems. You see that, a lot of nations have looked at the U.S. as weaponizing their power as the world reserve currency, and they've created sort of hedges, against the sanctions that the U.S. put upon nations that won't play ball or do whatever they want or whatever the issue is, and we see this with Russia. But as opposed to Russia's economy hurting or being devastated, right, the sanctions really didn't cripple Russia's economy to the extent that the U.S. expected it to, because Russia had already figured out how to hedge against sanctions, and lots of nations are doing that as well. And so you see this interesting dynamic of economic power playing, right? You see this sovereignty power kind of playing out. You see these old fragmented Roman Empire nations like France and Germany and Netherlands, and not Netherlands, but Spain, all of these old Roman Empire fragments, right? They don't have the same power that they used to. They're not as mighty as they used to. I mean, look at the British monarchy. Like when I was growing up, I mean, the monarchy was still kind of a fairy tale for even Americans. And I think maybe Princess Diana made it very popular. But I think over the years, the monarchy has lost its allure, not just in foreign nations, but even within the UK. So, you see all of these powers who are really waning because the people are like, me marveling over you, a king, doesn't feed me. It doesn't make my economic situation better at all. So, but it's just an indication of how no matter, when you look at the major world empires, none of them have been in the benefit of the people. The people have always gotten the super short end of the stick. And we see that, over time, only a small group of people throughout history have really been able to benefit from the hard work and labor of the masses. So, it's an interesting time that we live in. And, a lot of people, they're just like, oh, well, this has always been the case. It's like, yeah, but here's the thing. Never has there been a time in mankind's history where we were capable of not just military warfare. We are capable of biological warfare. We are capable of cyber warfare. So there's a lot of domestic warfare planning. So there's so many ways in which, you have, that we can devastate each other these days. We are much more capable than any other generation of mankind. And that is the difference between our generations and the generations before us. Now, will the generations now actually move on nuclear war? Who knows, right? We can't say, but the next generations who inherit these capabilities and this power. And each generation of mankind is not getting smarter. They're not getting smarter. We're getting smarter and more capable from how can we destroy each other? How can we control each other? Right? We're getting smarter those ways, right? But we're not getting smarter in terms of creating solutions and systems that actually are equitable for the majority of the people. We don't have those, never had those, never will. And that is why I'm a champion of God's kingdom. And if you know your Bible, you understand that that is a far more superior kingdom and governance than anything that we've seen in mankind's history. So anyways, you guys, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful work week. Try to tune out of some of the distractions, because I do feel like there's a lot of distractions, a lot of look over here, look over there type of thing. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at the scriptures, you're looking at how this world is playing out. and you're looking for how it's playing out in connections to the signs that we are told in our prophecies. So hopefully that helps you guys. Like I said, check out my last live stream. If you are looking for a quick overview of the Bible, how you should be thinking about the scriptures, and how you can apply those scriptures in your life so that you're not making the same mistake as our ancestors and generations that are within our lifetime as well. You can kind of look at those scriptures and say, you know what, I'm going to abide by the authority of the Bible and no other authority. And when you kind of divorce yourselves from the scriptural authorities, right, and you become an authority, you will have a much clearer understanding of what those scriptures are saying. You will look at the arguments and the ideas in the world differently, and you will resolve that you have nothing to lose keeping your faith in God. So I hope that you have a wonderful day. And again, check out my video that I did before this one, just because I really am trying to help people who are real faith seekers understand how we should be thinking about this world and existing in this world, and really trying to fortify themselves to build their spiritual armor. So have a good day. Bye.